this space is moving so fast, and it's like I was talking to the Pearson guys, the fastest training that's happening is people who are learning how to develop agents who are non-technical.
We believe this time is like no other. We refer to these as the tectonic shifts.
All the hyperscalers in the world, if you add them all together, managed services will be 1.5 times larger.
Because it is the customer buying behavior that has created the need for all of us to rethink our models.
Until we have data quality, the effectiveness of AI cannot be realized, and effectiveness of the partnerships cannot be realized.
Can you figure out first what your purpose is and how Microsoft can support your purpose and how you can support Microsoft purpose? Now we have a partnership. It's the ultimate partnership.
Welcome to the Ultimate Guide to Partnering. I'm Vince Menzione, your host, and my mission is to help leaders like you achieve your greatest results through successful partnering. We just came off Ultimate Partner Live at Microsoft's Redmond campus, our most powerful event yet. Over 2 days, we gathered top leaders to tackle the real shifts shaping our industry. If you weren't in the room, this episode featuring Sandy Gupta from Microsoft and Pat Lee from NVIDIA brings us right to the edge of what's next. Let's dive in. So I am thrilled to invite to the stage, first of all, I'm inviting back somebody who was with me in Dallas for the very first time. He was at day number 52 in his new role, Sandy Gupta, who's an incredible leader. At the time, we called his role ISV, Independent Software Vendors. We're kind of moving away from that. We'll talk about that. And here's the other piece. We've got NVIDIA up on stage, right? So have anybody here who's heard the name NVIDIA before? Anyone there? We think that this is a formative moment in time. And we talk about tectonic shifts, right? We talk about the world of AI. We talk about the build out. So I am thrilled to invite to the stage both Pat Lee from NVIDIA, who leads the alliances and strategic partnerships, and Sandy Gupta, who leads the Software Development Corporations. Get ready to say SDC, Software Development Companies. This is the new terminology. We're getting away from the old world of ISV. So I want to welcome these two incredible leaders to the stage. Sandy and Pat, glad to have you. So good to see you, my friend.
So good to see you.
I love this guy. So good to see you again. Pat, great to meet you. Glad you could join us. Sandy, I got to say, because I've told you this before, we've had you on stage, we've had you on the podcast. I am envious, so envious of your hair. I just think it's incredible. Has he got the most amazing head of hair?
Well, you know, just by the way, just looking at I just got a haircut.
And you got a haircut, like
and Pat and I can.
This would take me a full year to grow.
And Pat, I can.
I love it.
So we're enjoying while we can.
So good. I'm going to let you both introduce yourselves, and then we're going to dive into this conversation. But so great to have you back. Thrilled to have you both join us. So I'll let you introduce yourself, and then turn it over to Pat.
Yeah, I mean, Vince, first of all, thank you. It's an honor to be on this platform again with these incredible partners. But first of all, thank you that you are safe.
Thank you.
I think you played down the accident you had, and I'm just so glad you are safe. And I know it's still not easy, but you'll recover. And you know, it's amazing that you're good. Look, I lead the global ISVs for Microsoft, and so or SDCs.
Yes.
It's going to take some while because it's been 32 years of practice of calling ISVs, and we now see software companies emerge who are not like ISVs, what we used to think about as ISVs, so that's kind of the change. So I spend a lot of time working with our ecosystem of software companies, helping them grow their top line revenue. Been 18 years in Microsoft and learning every day.
Yeah.
And by the way, one thing also is like incredible partner here, Pat Lee.
Well, thank you. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here and an opportunity to speak to this audience. So I'm Pat Lee. I lead strategic enterprise partnerships at NVIDIA, and I'm focused on really the leading enterprise hardware and software providers and helping them bring AI to their platforms and let them enable all the power of the data and what they're delivering to their customers. And I think there's a great opportunity there.
Huge.
Once they've done that, it's a great opportunity for all of you to help deliver and deploy it.
So thrilled to have you both on stage. This is going to be a really exciting conversation. Sandy, I got to be with you day number 52. I'd love to dive in a little bit about what you've learned from, that was early October of 24. seems like it was last week in some respects. But I would love maybe we could share a little bit with this audience, like how you were thinking about this, other than the fact that we now stopped calling them ISVs and we're calling them SDCs.
Yeah.
But I know that's an overall vision for how you're supporting these partners.
Thanks, Vince. Look, I think if I look about what I've learned, both in terms of externally and internally, what has changed and how it's shaping for us for next year. One is just externally, if you look at it, the cost of tokens have come down dramatically. If you look at that, I mean, I was just looking at a report from Stanford AI Index. It just came out. It was like the cost of tokens have gone from $20 per million tokens to 7 cents.
Wow.
Per million token, right? And the hallucination, which is also a big part of, hey, for enterprises, like for them to put an autonomous agent, they need to be very thoughtful about that. If you look at the recent reports, the hallucination has really dramatically gone down in the same linear scale as the cost. And that is because AI is now, really also being trained to look at the outputs of AI to see, hey, is it actually hallucinating or is it not? So there is a lot of democratization of AI that's happened very, very fast. I will call it almost like a tech intensity. When I joined, when we met first, is still the ISVs were connecting and say, hey, should I do a co-pilot? Should I infuse GPT-4 in my application, or should I develop a co-pilot? Now it's like the co-pilots are already out there. and for every role you can think of, whether you're on a shop floor or you're a physician, or there is a co-pilot for you. And then a lot of them are now looking at, hey, what's going on with my agentic framework? How am I thinking of monetization, governance, security, go-to-market, all of that? So massive shift happening in that. I would also say that we're seeing a massive shift in marketplace. We talked about today with Cyril, and also we talked to John and others about marketplace today. We're about to drive to $1 billion marketplace deal this quarter.
Wow, a single deal.
Single deal. And that is, so the shift to marketplace is real. And I think we are feeling it. We are very committed to it. So that's kind of happening. We are seeing some interesting things that, cloud migrations are also accelerating very fast. And I think part of it is AI is driving a lot of acceleration, and it's really broadening opportunity for the entire ecosystem, because there's just so many ways you can think about the value chain that's emerging as you get to cloud. So internally, I would say that this group of companies, these software companies that I'm managing as go-to-market, is the fastest segment of our commercial business.
Yeah.
And so
that's fascinating.
Good and bad thing is getting a lot of attention.
Right.
And so the good part of the attention was that Judson was like, hey, this is important.
Yeah.
And here's some money to go try a few things that you see are important for H2 so we can shape next year.
Nice.
So I think there is, both internally, there is a lot of recognition of what's going on, and we need to, invest and in certain specific areas. I would say the way I quickly say is like shaping up for next year is we are going to have a really big focus on tech intensity in a sense of, hey, how do we help our customers do a quick, fail fast, fail cheap, way of investment, because you have to try a lot of things in AI.
And when saying customers, you're talking about the software development corporations.
Yeah, and with them for the end customers,
and for the end customers
as well. Right. And because there is a lot of trial needs to happen. There's a lot of innovation ideas. Some of them will never see the light of the tunnel, but many of them are worth trying. And so we want to find a very agile way to invest resources and bring very specialized partners, small or big services companies who are deep in AI, to really help our ISVs to do those things. We're going to come up with one of the most, I would say, competitive migration program. And I'm very thrilled about that.
Oh, tell us more.
Well, I think we're still cooking.
Okay,
But I think this is where I feel like the TAM of opportunity for still a lot of the ISVs to go to cloud is huge.
Exactly.
And I think it's an opportunity for us. So I'm very thrilled about that. That I think that's going to happen. And then really next year is a big year for us to take a marketplace first approach.
Good. Good
And-
to hear
and I
that.
think,
can I hear a round of applause for that, by the way? I think that's incredible. Yeah, that's incredible to see.
I think those three things I would say,
Yeah.
Vince, and overall, I was just telling Pat in the green room, hey, how we're going to stimulate our sellers to sell more with partners.
Yeah.
And already, like, Nicole talked about how we actually put the money where the mouth is today and investing in the ecosystem, but making sure that our sellers are really creating the demand that's out there with our partners.
I want to give Pat some time as
Yeah,
well, but I
please.
would love to hear from you, like, how are you thinking when we were up on stage in October, you had basically winnowed down the organization, right? You took the top 30 directly, and then you pushed down to the field organizations, the other very large, significant ISVs or SDCs.
Yep.
How are you thinking about the management of this ecosystem, especially in light of what you just mentioned in terms of the adoption, the new adoption curve?
Yeah, do you want to go to Pat first, or do you want
I
me to
can answer,
finish?
then we'll come back.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then I think we'll come into Pat.
So
yeah.
the way it is playing out is, like, we are starting to think about what is the right resource model for an ISV, where they are on the journey.
Okay.
I think we have had for the longest time, Microsoft super
do.
well, that we had a very inflexible model that basically said, hey, you can only do this if you have this designation or this or that.
Yes.
We have partners who are incredibly technical and they don't need technical support from us. There are partners who are incredibly good at co-sell. Say, hey, I've got my customers, don't worry about it, I've got it. What I need you is innovation and help us,
Yes.
but we can do the direct co-sell, we're good. So we're trying to figure that out. It's like, hey,
Okay.
where do we meet the partners where they are, rather than create a very rigid model. I'll tell you, it's like, I lean in, like yesterday I was in Orlando, just came back last night, and we had like essentially a late stage startup, big partnership. Jason and I were both there.
Very nice.
And we are pretty much leaning in. So it's less about now, hey, do I have this global partner or do I have a startup?
Yeah, that's what I was
It is
getting
more
at.
like, hey,
Yeah.
is the opportunity
Is it the
there?
right opportunity? Do
Is
we
it the
dive
right
into it? Yeah.
opportunity? And we bring
That's great.
the machinery.
Well, at our next event, I'm going to dive in even deeper on this
yes,
conversation
yes,
with
yes.
you.
This is a big one.
Pat, I'd love to hear your vision. NVIDIA is in a juggernaut right now in this industry. Fastest growth of any company in my lifetime. We used to talk about Compaq getting to $1 billion back in the day. I mean, NVIDIA's market share and market cap has just been astounding. We talk about the infrastructure build out. We talk about the commitments that are made around cloud. And really AI is being driven from your organization. You really are the leader in driving the technology. And I'd love to get your idea and vision on how you're thinking about it, working with Microsoft, and how you're doubling down and leaning in.
So from first principles, NVIDIA is a full stack software and computing company.
Yep.
Everybody thinks about us as just providing GPUs. It's not that.
Yeah.
We provide the full infrastructure and software stack required to make AI successful. And we have partners that take various layers of it and what they need to make their business successful. But that requires partnership. And we have a deep partnership with Microsoft and how we work together to provide the best infrastructure possible for AI to meet the needs of their own apps, their partners' apps, and the apps that all of you are going to help your customers build. It's not one thing, it's all of them, right? And I think what we need to do is make sure that we help provide the necessary platforms that can be used at all three levels. Because what Azure OpenAI needs is very different than what a leading ISV needs. And it's very different than what a GSI needs to deliver a solution to a customer. So we're really trying to make sure we provide the right hardware and software at the right levels to enable people to be successful across the board. And by doing that, it allows us to help Microsoft be more successful. A great quarter for Microsoft this last
Yeah,
quarter, just watching the
congratulations.
acceleration growth. I mean, we're excited to see that because it means more and more people are taking advantage of the power of AI. And that to us, if our number one goal for NVIDIA is like, I want every enterprise to have AI embedded in their solution.
Yeah.
That's it. That's our vision. AI in every application. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, I think we're seeing it. It's funny because we had this conversation a couple of years ago. It was like, it's not happening fast enough. And I come back to the Bill G comment, right? Because we expect too much too soon. We're getting there in incredible ways. The technology is taking off in so much more deep and intangible ways right now.
And as you see with some of these companies like ISVs, so a number of ISVs in the room here are partners of ours, ServiceNow, Cohesity.
Yep.
We've done work with to help them innovate, to help bring their AI into their platforms, right? If you look at some of their own comments about AI and how it's growing, it's amazing to see how it's grown in just the amount of time they were able to first get into market with a basic solution, and how the technology is just growing every day. This is not slow. This is not the old days of adding a feature every 18 months. Every month, something's changing, evolving, and people are looking to adopt it, and how do they really bring that power of AI to their customers? And then more importantly, figure out in what way. Some companies are monetizing it through upsell. Some companies are baking it into their base product to drive more people onto a cloud computing model. Everybody's trying to figure out the business model that makes the most sense for them. What is the metric that's going to allow them to be successful in driving the investment for AI to lead to the outcomes they care about?
How does your team layer in support for Microsoft then? Because you talked about 3 different areas of growth opportunities, working with these partners. Is there a level of specificity working with the Microsoft teams on?
Microsoft's a strategic partner. We have a deep, dedicated team focused on delivering what we need at each level at these things. And that includes everything from the infrastructure build out across the board to helping Microsoft optimize internal applications that were then delivered on the cloud. To then now, we look at that. One of the things that we're excited about NVIDIA from the software perspective is that we're part of Azure AI Foundry. And we have a rich software stack that's embedded in Azure AI Foundry that can be bought through the marketplace to deliver high-performance models that can be used to help build applications for your customers. And delivered, NVIDIA's pride and joy is delivering the best performance ever. For example, we can deliver Llama 2.8 times faster than the base solution in Azure AI Foundry. By leveraging our marketplace solution, it stays in the AI Foundry ecosystem, and you can take advantage of that to build out applications to deliver the best solution for your customers.
Vince, my team manages NVIDIA as a software partner.
I see. Very interesting.
While we are a customer,
that's a different approach.
Which is a very different approach
to
kind of frame what Pat is saying.
So you're helping to forge some of these partnerships from Foundry over to some of these other ISVs that are going to be building out solutions. I want to dive in on Agentic because I think it's been a huge topic area. It seems to be the area of most growth right now.
Yeah, if you look at it, the taxonomy of it is like if you have a co-pilot, it's specific to a role that's helping the human. It's like an AI assistant.
Yes.
And then if you look at Agentic, it's about, it's headless, it's specific to a task. And the idea of architecture is make it as narrow to a task as possible. So for a complex task, you can reuse a lot of different agents and all of that. I'd love to even say, hey, how many people here use Teams? It's pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
How many people have added an agent to Teams? It's 10%. How many people have created an agent in a team? It's actually impressed. There is actually
more than I expected.
4 or 5. Yeah. Look, it's this space is moving so fast, and it's like I was talking to the Pearson guys. The fastest training that's happening is people who are learning how to develop agents who are non-technical. And if you go to Teams, and for those who have not done that, it is super easy to go. And Teams and Copilot Studio is just one framework. There's just so many low-code, no-code frameworks out there. But it's incredibly the pace is moving. But I want to bring back to hey, how is it being used and how is it being consumed? So I want to go back to what Nicole was saying this morning is kind of the frame, and Judson talked about it last week. I don't know those who heard in his AI tour in London.
Yeah.
Said, hey, there's 4 big pillars of how AI is being consumed. One is how we are using for employee experience. And that is a lot of things like, for example, M365 Copilot for knowledge workers, but there are a lot of fine-tuned Copilots in the market for different types of audience. And he was talking about, hey, how 65,000 of his sellers are now using them. And the top quartile of that has kind of he's seeing a close rate go up 23%. And per head revenue's gone 9%, which if you multiply by 65, it's a good number. So we are seeing a lot of that sort of adoption in the enterprise today on, hey, just employee productivity.
Productivity is incredible.
There is a big pivot we have seen at scale is like the customer engagement. And we talked about like our own engagement, like we have like 15,000 support people, about 25,000 vendors, and Judson pulled like about $500 million cost out. And the customer experience has gone up in terms of the feedback we are getting, because it's all now, the triage is done through Agentic framework, and
Yes.
the triage decides, the agent decides whether it's time to go to a co-pilot with a human or pass it to an agent to be able to, because they know the customer really well. But then I think the two big areas is emerging now is, the third is like really around the business process automation. I was just talking to a big hedge fund yesterday in Orlando, and they were saying, hey, we've got one of the most successful hedge funds, and they were like, we have like 400 business processes that we have identified to really kind of automate over time, but there's like 5 that we really are going to really hit, is going to be the biggest impact for us, and they're very focused on that. And I think like that thing is kind of, I mean, imagine like eSIF tomorrow got automated.
Yes.
I mean, this whole entire room will be full of joy and
No
the
more
employee.
whiteboards with calculations on them.
Or MDF here, like, oh my gosh. And the Microsoft employees will play golf every day, right? If that can happen,
that's
because
right.
no matter what role you are in, you get sucked. eSIF is like our investment funds
Got
and
it,
stuff.
yeah.
So it's like a business process that nobody knows how it works.
Yeah.
And then like you look at like, but the last thing I want to say is she talked about bending the innovation.
Yes.
I think it's the products that are coming in the market now. Like if you look at Siemens, I was in Hanover a few weeks back, and Siemens published with us like a co-innovated like an industry foundation model, essentially putting all the modalities of engineering and manufacturing in GPT-4 and other models, and being able to consume that through hundreds of co-pilots that the ecosystem can develop. I mean, can you imagine Siemens-like company becoming a software company?
Yes.
Bringing their really core value to the market through a fine-tuned, industry-specific model. So I think there is this way how things are sort of like, what are the dimensions? But then when you look at, hey, how has it been consumed? How the co-pilots and Agentic has been consumed by enterprises in these 4 dimensions? I would say co-pilot is the best way for diffusion in the enterprise, where everyone can touch and feel AI, whatever their role is, and most of this, it's no longer a debate. Everybody has a co-pilot now for the role an ISV has for their specific role, whether it's manufacturing, healthcare, et cetera. And then the things that differentiate you, that's where it's really about working on, hey, do I buy and build, and that's where this whole Agentic framework is coming to life, which can go in more details.
And I think with Agentic, it's very interesting, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies are trying to say they've got the perfect Agentic solution. But the challenge you all know is nobody has a single system of record they're running their business on. So what happens when you have systems of record from different vendors? That's where the fun's going to come into play with Agentic AI.
Totally.
And that's one of the things that we're working with Microsoft on. And how do we help agent interoperability standards? So when you want to go, I want to write an agent in Salesforce, and I want to write one in Microsoft, I want to write one in ServiceNow, how can you tie them all together in a way to go back to that question, what business process do we need to solve? Because it's never in one app.
Totally.
Your business process runs across all these different apps.
Yeah.
So the best thing we can do, I mean, one of the things that we've talked about internally is like, instead of having to learn complex APIs from each different application, you're going to be able to speak natural language to a set of agents.
And you will have context.
Then you'll have context.
Intention.
And there'll be a reasoning agent there. I know this is geeky techie, but you'll be able to ask questions, and it will go off and spin up different agents that can talk to different languages and do it all and bring it all together for you across applications.
Yeah.
That's the power of Agentic AI. And this isn't science fiction. This is happening. And like, you're going to see more and more over the next 18 months, you're going to see this growth. And it's a huge business opportunity because people who are resellers or system providers, your customers are going to want it. They don't want to end up paying for 12 different applications. They want a single way to solve the problem. Even if they have to pay for them, they don't want to have to interact with them 12 different ways.
Totally.
So how do we help them do that?
Yeah.
And we've been talking about tectonic shifts for years now, but now it's really accelerating,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And agentic AI is really. So what are the milestones along the way? Because we're going to be here, sitting down from here a year from now, having very different conversations than we're having right now. What are you seeing?
Well, I mean, just to bring this to life, if you have a phone, I have an iPhone where I use 300 applications, right?
Yeah.
What if you context switch from one to the other? What if you don't need to do a context switch? And essentially,
They talk to one another.
You can go, and you have an open table agent that goes and reserves the dinner for you and your wife, and
right.
as long as you have the intention, without having to go from, hey, weather application to this. And if you think about that system of intelligence that Pat just talked about, which is no longer these passive APIs, but it's a system of intelligence that is talking to all these different siloed system of records, that is a whole emerging sort of ecosystem right now. I say a couple of things, Vince, that's emerging in the ecosystem that we worth talking about.
Yes.
We are seeing a lot of convergence of ISVs and SIs.
Very interesting to see this.
As I talk to customers, they say, hey, I would love to work with these ISVs, but I need them handhold me. And I've been giving that feedback to the ISVs, hey, it's not enough to just build a software.
Right.
On the other hand, the SIs are having the same thing. It's like you cannot, because for us, we are going and saying, here are the use cases in your industry, in your domain, and you can either build yourself or with the SI, or you can buy and configure. And both of them require, there is a convergence of like what your capabilities are as a partner. Even for consulting partners, I'm starting to get the feedback from our customers is that, hey, I love the change management because it's super critical because yes, we have put the business process, but nobody's using them. But the change management has to be in the workflow, not just an outside training. Like, how do you insert the change management right in the workflow, what you're trying to do when you're trying to do? So it actually leads you there than doing it. So
we're going to see a convergence of ISVs and SIs then. It has to happen in order to have the velocity that you need to have for these businesses.
Totally.
Yeah. That's fascinating. What else are you seeing, Pat, on your side?
I think it's the accelerated growth of ISVs adopting this technology. The early ones are getting farther ahead, but the good news is the technology is evolving so quickly. It's time to catch up, and it's not as hard to catch up today. You started 2 years ago on this journey. It was going to take you a year to figure it out. Now you can start and have something in market in 3 months. The opportunity is just there because the tooling, the technology is better.
I know you've talked about healthcare. Is that one of the areas where you're seeing the most emergence of growth?
Healthcare is a great opportunity. So, we talk a lot about large language models.
Yeah.
Those are not the only models out there.
Yes.
Large language models are one component of all the models. We have a whole division at NVIDIA focused on healthcare and biological models that can be delivered. BioNeMo is actually going to be coming to Azure AI Foundry.
Wow.
Yep.
So you could do drug discovery inside Azure AI Foundry, kick off the model there, and have it tie into the rest of your business systems. So there's lots of opportunities. More and more models are going to have across various businesses, whether it's financial services, whether it's healthcare. And security is a big area. You're seeing lots of growth in terms of agentic frameworks just because the complexity of just providing the security needed in this very rapidly moving world is really critical.
Absolutely. I would say cyber and with all this agentic, imagine like a company with 500 SMB, 500 people with 5,000 agents.
Yeah.
That's going to be the reality. And the security, about governance of all of that, entitlements of like which agent can do what, it's going to be I think, massive opportunity.
It's interesting about agents. In some ways, HR is going to be IT.
Yeah.
HR is going to be in charge of agents in some ways. It's like take over that job IT. It's like it's building new things out. It's a very fascinating place.
Everything you've talked about today has been about outcomes too. I think about healthcare being 19% of gross domestic product in the United States, right? Yeah. As a recent victim of it, and I'm thinking about security. I'm thinking about financial. You start layering in these incredible components of our models today. Yeah. The outcomes that you're going to drive the derivatives are going to be so valuable. The creation that's created. So we're going into, Microsoft's fiscal 26. What are the things we need to, with this amazing partner organization, these ultimate partners in the room, how do we need to think, what final advice would you give to them?
Look, I'll start. One is, I would say, don't stay back from AI. Just really skill yourself. I mean, just build an agent today. Just tonight, just build an agent. And it's not that hard. Don't let the geeks frighten you. It's actually more easy than you think.
Yeah.
And it's helping me. I built an agent just to improve my English writing.
Very nice.
So it's helping me. Every time I write something, it corrects me. Second is, the time has come how the ISVs and the channel partners kind of come together. We talked a lot about in the marketplace session, and we really want to go deep into that, because if you look at the mid-market and SMB, they are not going to consume AI by building it themselves, the solution themselves. And I think the time has come now for these partnerships to come together and the P2P. And third is, I'll just leave with that. We're going to have a massive focus on migration next year.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that everyone here is part of that, sort of opportunity, because it lends every type of partner in that. But most importantly, thank you everyone for being our partner and amazing ecosystem and Vince's amazing platform.
Thank you so much, Pat.
I think now is the time. There's not a time to wait. And there's all sorts of ways to get started. You can get started as simply as an agent there. But I think one thing that every business that you work with and support has a mound of business critical data that they need to maximize, to get value out of, to let their customers get value out of. And if we're not helping them get there, they're going to lose business. Other people are going to come in and take that business. If you can't maximize the value in these applications, they'll be replaced. Yeah. So if we don't make AI the prominent, most important feature of these applications, they won't be able to keep up.
I hear you loud and clear. I hope everybody else hears this loud and clear, because it is important. I think there was this sense of hesitancy in the beginning. Like there was this feedback that was coming from CFOs saying, we're not seeing the value yet in AI. This was in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And I do think organizations need to hit the gas pretty hard right now. That's the impression.
And they don't need to build everything today. I think that's the key thing is and there's something they should build. So
they should build what's right for their business. As I said earlier, NVIDIA is a platform play.
Yeah.
If I look at the number of the partners I talked about, like ServiceNow earlier, we're providing the platform.
Yeah.
They're bringing their business value on top of it, and then they're getting the value out of it. That's the thing. It's like you don't have to build all this. There's a lot of foundation you can build on top of.
Fascinating conversation. I want to thank you both. Incredible leaders on stage. I hope you all valued as much as I did. Wow. Sandy, so great to see you again, my friend.
I learned so much from you every time we talk.
I learned a lot from you.
Thank you.
Pat, so great to have you join us. Having NVIDIA up on stage at our Ultimate Partner event has been of great value for us as well.
Pat, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. You've both been incredible. And I hope you're staying around for a little while.
Yeah, I will.
Everyone, I'm sure, wants to spend time with both of you.
Yeah,
so I want to thank you so much for joining us at our event this year.
I will see you at the dinner.
Yes, we'll see you up on. We're gonna have a great meal together. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ultimate Guide to Partnering. We're bringing these episodes to you to help you level up your strategy. If you haven't yet, now's the time to take action and think about joining our community. We created a unique place, UPX, or Ultimate Partner Experience, where leaders come to learn from each other. It's more than a community, it's your competitive edge. With insider insights, real-time education, and direct access to people who are driving the ecosystem forward, UPX helps you get results. And we're just getting started. We've got big plans for you this summer, as we're taking this studio and we'll be hosting live stream and digital events here, and it's all coming to you soon. So visit our website, theultimatepartner.com, to learn more and join us. Now's the time to take your partnerships to the next level.